How's everyone doing today? I'm good, thanks for asking. Anyway, welcome to another solo Lords of War Games and Hobbies video featuring your host Jay. Chris is away with his loving family that he loves tremendously, including his extended family that he also loves spending time with. Anyway, he'll be back soon. So I've been charged with making a third video for you, and things were looking a little slim. Not a lot going on, not a lot of controversy in the Warhammer world. Certainly, I was not certainly blessed with the Saturnine scandal. They just a gift that kept on giving. So we had to kind of dig things up, had to be creative. Anyway, before we get started, like and subscribe, because that's what I'm supposed to say. If you like these videos, if you like what we talk about, industry stuff, what's going on in the hobby world, mostly from the perspective of a local game store owner. So I've been doing this a while, and there's ups and downs and little ins and outs. And anyway, today's little news is this little sheet of paper with some text on it. Is about, we kind of covered this a little while ago, but we'll kind of go over it again. This is about Cool Mini or Not. Come on, or whatever they're called, the CMON, as you may know them. They are, in case you're not aware, a miniature making company that cut its teeth making, or like really became successful with a few franchises that they successfully kickstarted, kind of when Kickstarter was beginning to become the vehicle for launching board games. So talking Zombicide, we're talking Rising Sun, there's a few other ones. Oh my god, there was another board game that did several that did really well with. Basically, they kind of figured out how to make kind of how I would describe as like lower or medium quality. I guess they're high quality for board games, but low quality for tabletop, like wargaming. So it's kind of this like weird quality of miniature that they could make quickly, and it was like injection molded, kind of simpler designs. If you held them in your hands, you were like, these are cool. You might be enticed to paint one or two, but they weren't held up against necessarily the Warhammer stuff, but you got a lot of minis for a good price, and they were pretty good looking. I think also that Song of Ice and Fire, I think they also produced, which was really good. But basically what occurred is, over time they were like, hey, this Kickstarter thing is pretty good. We make some stuff, we collect money up front, lots and lots of money, and then we make it and ship it out. Sounds good. And and then so they tried to include, they would include retailers sort of. I remember being in the Song of Ice and Fire one, and it was okay. I couldn't believe how much stuff they gave away, though. It made me really think, like, is this a good recipe for success long term? I remember towers of boxes awaiting customers that bought it through me. So at least we got to participate in that. But anyway, I digress. What's going on with CMON? Well, in case you haven't been following the last little while, things are not good. They are taking some L's, some monetary L's, big time, due to tariffs and other things. And yeah, it seems like the party is over, kind of, on that front. Some background. You know me, I like to ramble on nonsense. As a retailer, generally dislike Kickstarters. Not because like I hate regular people that want to get cool stuff for good price. I have nothing. That's great. If you bought a Kickstarter, good for you. Like, I'm not upset about that. I only, I would say the main dislike is there's this one, especially with miniature games. You don't really get this with like board games and other things, but for whatever reason in the miniature game world, so like let's say Song of Ice and Fire or something like that, the people that frequent stores like ours, they're like want a place to play those games, or they want to get more people into it because they're big fans, right? So they get their game, they're like, this is really good, I'm trying to get my buddy into it, he missed the Kickstarter, I want a store to be able to go in and buy it. Problem though is usually what occurs is everything in the Kickstarters are always, with the stretch goals and how they function, people get basically like a year's worth of releases in one go. So in the case of Song of Ice and Fire, it was like 2-player starter with a boatload of minis, and then I don't know, 5 or 6 more kits per side. So your Lannisters and Starks got like extra units and heroes, and then if you hit all the goals, you got terrain and all the nines, right? You got everything. And well, okay, so it comes out, and if I sign up as let's say I go to my distributor, I want to bring in Song of Ice and Fire on the shelf. I'm like, well, what am I gonna carry? Like, I guess I could carry a starter box, but if I go on eBay right now, I'm saying at the time, the market's like absolutely flooded because all these guys got their Kickstarters and they're like, I actually don't want this or whatever, or they bought 2 and they're selling 1. So I've got to put it on the shelf for $200, and then the eBay price is like 80 cents or something stupid, like bargain bin Timmy price or whatever. And so you're like, well, that's not going to do well. And then fine, so maybe you get your friend to buy the other half, and you give them the other units, and then they come in and they're like, okay, when's, we want to bulk up, we want to get some more stuff. And I'm like, well, I have all the things that have been made. And they're like, no, we heard about the new stuff, there's new units coming. I'm like, yeah, they're in the next Kickstarter. So there's nothing that's going to come in here in the next year that the vast majority of collectors don't already own. And so that makes it kind of a tricky thing. You're like, but Jay, they could buy paints and brushes. Maybe, probably not. Most people don't actually finish their armies. And board game if you're like a board gamer who's getting in, it's the other side of the Venn diagram, where you're kind of like, I like collecting and playing board games, but this is a cool board game, war game, miniature game. And I have to paint them? I don't really like painting. I don't really sign up for that. I just like playing. They probably aren't going to buy the paints and brushes. So then they're like, well, we want to play. And I'm like, well, you got to like support the store, things like that. I mean, I guess we could do pay per visit. That doesn't really have a good long-term thing. I think people would be like, actually, I'll just play this at home or in the library or something. Anyway, so with that out of the way, generally, in a purely retailer perspective, it's very not great. Again, occasionally these companies do include us in a way where maybe we get the thing at the same time, and then I can convince some of my local customers to be like, look, yeah, we're gonna get it to buy it through me. You can support the store, and you can pick it up here, rather than kind of see what happens with shipping. Usually what occurs though is the retailer is like kind of dead last in the totem of like who gets what. So I'll give you, actually, there's only one type of Kickstarter that has sort of worked for us, and that is on the hobby supply front. So when a company's making paints, so we've had a few successful ones with Scale Color, Scale 75, although that's a whole nother problem now that they've gotten themselves into. Maybe another video on that one. Where they would be like, here's a new range of paint. So for example, once upon a time they had their Smooth Artist paint, which was like their famous paint, but in like a tube, a little bit more heavy body, more acrylic to it. Anyway, it's very interesting paint. It's actually very good if you get your hands on. I think we have a bit left. That's my favorite paint to use, to be honest. But that was an idea. That was the thing where they had so if I bought it in as a retailer, I actually got a fantastic price on it. I would commit to a whole rack, which would mean, I don't know, in this case, it wasn't a crazy big range, but it was like 60 colors times like 8 units. And they're 20 mil tubes, so they cost double what a regular jar got, blah, blah, blah. So you see how that ratchets up all of a sudden. It ends up being a few $1,000s or something like that, or $1,000. But it ended up being like 30% cheaper than even the distributor price. So for me, it was like, okay, it kind of makes sense. Kind of the bulk buy, right? You buy it now, you get in early, and you save a bunch of money, and then that first wave of paint that we get that starts selling, it's like nice profit on that. When we get to the restocks, it's a different story. But anyway, so where were we? Yeah, so Cool Mini, right? Built their company on the Kickstarter, making 8 million versions of Zombicide, and there's a few other ones they made. Oh my god. I don't know, my brain is. We used to have all of these games too, by the way. Did they have a Left 4 Dead game, or it was Dark? Oh my. Anyway, you guys will know more than me. It's been a while. I remember Rising Sun. There's another one that I can't, with Vikings in it, that I just can't remember right now. So things have come to a head. So I'm just gonna read this quick here. Just not, again, you guys are gonna be like, you're a horrible presenter. That's fine. So here goes. This is like a news article online. I'm sure if you like Google or ChatGPT, CMON financial trouble is going to come up. Board game crowdfunding giant. They call them that. CMON has lost 2 more long-serving senior executives, so there's a bit of an exodus right now. Like they're publicly traded. They've got like a board and all that, and they're just like, talent is leaving. These guys are like, this company is dying. That's conjecture. And we're leaving. So it says, amid attempt to fight back from heavy, I have to emphasize that, we have to underline it here, 2024 losses and a drastic downsizing spurred by U.S. tariff volatility. That just, you read that and you're just like, how do you recover from that sentence? This is Chief Officer, Mr. Kai, and Company Secretary, Miss May, have both, or maybe it's a gentleman. No, I can't remember. Anyway, sorry if I'm pushing that. Handed in their resignations 5 months after senior manager David Pretty stepped down as COO of the business. Just see you later. CMON revealed in April that it had slumped to a $3 million loss for last year, almost double its total profits from the previous 3 years combined. Oh my God. So a $3 million loss. So half of that is $1.5 million. And $1.5 million was 3 years of profits. So they're only profiting $500K a year. I don't know. Doesn't seem very good. I mean, obviously we've taken the size and scale of companies and what they're doing, but for a company producing Kickstarter games, and I'll get into another little detail, like more than one, like a bunch at a time, that's some really thin margins, or at least have become really thin margins. They're obviously healthier before, but now it's not been good. And the other thing to note is 3 years, that's their profit has been slumping before tariffs and tariff wars and all that. That's a new thing. If you got to remember, that's only the last 6 months. So you could see that the $3 million loss, I think is more reminiscent of pre-tariff world, to be honest. Later that month, the company announced it was laying off staff and halting new game development and campaign launches, citing the ongoing unpredictability around the tariffs, a convenient excuse, in order to focus on fulfilling its I have to clear my throat from this one, 8 undelivered crowdfunding campaigns, which together raised about $18 million, as well as another 7 pre-ordered games. So whatever that, I guess that's 15 products that are having to be fulfilled, made, whatever. So that's another crazy thing. They're able to raise $18 million, but they take a $3 million loss. That's not good. That's not good. The company has attempted to stem its financial problems in the short term by selling a string of its IPs, including its most famous and profitable title, Zombicide, as well as Eric Lang Designs' Blood Rage. That's the game. That's the one I couldn't remember. And Rising Sun. So you also, it's not good when the only way to save yourself is to, like, we're not lopping off a thumb or a pinky toe or heck, maybe even like a foot. You're taking the whole, like, an entire arm or the entire leg. You're like, I'm just not going to walk again to save the company. Like, it's like you've got the virus or whatever, the zombie, something is killing your, eating away the piranhas or something, and you got to slice off your leg to live. Like, that is, could you imagine if Games Workshop was in such dire straits that they were like, we have to cut 40K or something? I know it makes no sense, right? Why would you cut your most profitable game? Yikes. I guess they thought that they squeezed that lemon so much, like every drop out of it, that they're like, no one's gonna buy any more of those. CMON announced that the quote finish line is in sight, quote, for 3 of its games on pre-order: Dark Providence, Dune War of Arrakis, Desert War, and Marvel United: The Witching Hour. And re-emphasized, those are pretty strong names, I guess. Re-emphasized that it was halting the launch of any new crowdfunding campaigns that had earned back the trust of its backers. Okay. But if your revenue stream is Kickstarter and you're stopping Kickstarters, I guess what's occurred is that there's a bit of I mean, this is all public knowledge now, right? Like there's probably regulars that have been kind of had some delays, haven't got their stuff, maybe gotten fleeced a little bit, and that trust has eroded. So even if I guess putting up a Kickstarter costs money. You got to design, you have to have something. Not, you just have like a little PowerPoint. You got to have like sculpts, like renders, graphic design. Like that costs money. It probably costs a few $100,000 for them to design everything, maybe $1 million to just design it, and then it needs to bring in like I don't know how many, $5-10 million to be, I don't know. So this makes me again think like where are we? I guess they have some board games and things. They have some direct to retailer product like through distribution that they're going to keep, that they make and keep selling, I am assuming. Rather than large scale, miniatures heavy crowdfunding campaigns, the company has instead pivoted to releasing several small box games direct to retail. There you go. Some of which are expected to make their debut at Spiel Essen in October. So, yeah, they're kind of going. They're like, how many of these like little board, really fully, what's the word? Batteries included, little. Because the miniatures are what cost the most to make. Board games, it's like chits and paper and cardboard. They're far cheaper to design and make than the board game minis for sure. So it looks like they're hoping that they've got some good game designers on staff, and we can bang out some of these games, put them out in the wild. Spiel is a massive convention for that. It's like the Gen Con of Europe. I don't know if it's big or not, but it is a big deal. And this is probably it. Again, I'm guessing. I'm proclaiming guessing. Yeah, that I read that again. Pivoted to releasing several small box games directory. So, which is funny because because regular folks who have bought their Kickstarters have no faith in them. But me, the retailer, who basically like, have. And don't get me wrong, I don't have a hatred for Cool Mini in general. Like I don't, that's the business model they chose to go with. My problem is I wish there was a world where we could both succeed, but I guess there isn't. It's just more of the customer side, like the interaction there, where I'm like I want to support this thing, but it doesn't make sense financially, so at least for us here. So, but I'm still like once something stinks, has that stench of failure, like the retailer's not taking the distributor's not good. You think the big distributors in North America are going to be like, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, you guys are hemorrhaging money and things are going down the toilet, so to speak. And yeah, we're going to bring in a ton, even if it's good. They're going to be like, look, there's 4,200 board games released a year. Maybe yours are going to be among the top 0.1% that become evergreen, incredible titles. Like this is like an incredible Hail Mary. You're like, I don't know, it's kind of wild. So Simon did not respond to a request from Board Game Wire, I guess that's the news site here, for more information about the small box retail strategy. I didn't even read this until just now, or other updates about its ongoing plans to combat its financial issues. Board Game Wire has said Simon more than half a dozen requests for comment and context about multiple stories since March this year without receiving a reply. I guess that says it all. So the reporters that, hello, knocking on the door, and they're peeking through the window, and then the lights are off. The lights are off. All the desks, like it looks like everything's been cleared out. There's just a few scraps of paper. Yeah, the sign is still up on the door and the address still goes there, but there's nothing going on in there. That's my best guess. So this is kind of in the ongoing series of videos. You can go back and watch them, especially in that March, April, May timeline. We made a ton of videos about impact of tariffs and miniature companies. We had stories from the mouth of the CEO or owner of the guy who does BattleTech and all that stuff. How they're trying to overcome the challenges, how the costs have eroded their margins, how they had to all of a sudden pay mega tariff on a container and it crushed anything that whole, they basically had to liquidate that just to break even, and all of these things, right? So Cool Mini is obviously the next is feeling it really hard, and probably, this is my guess, I could be wrong, probably this is like a bit of a side effect of building the business model through purely the Kickstarter vehicle, whatever you want to call it. When it works, it's incredible, because you're just sitting there, you're like, man, we put some model renders online and we got, like, think of Trench Crusade. They got some rural riders, some former GW guys together. They got a digital sculptor. They put something out there and it went to the moon, and they're like, wow, that's amazing, right? And the community ate it up, and they successfully launched other ones and all that. They didn't believe in their wildest dreams that would happen. And so for some of these companies, it was like, it felt like free money, because they were like, wow, look at all the money we get up front. They do their cost analysis, and they're like, yeah, we can get this made in China, tariff free. We just got to, once we get the containers over to this side of the pond, we can distribute it all over the, to the North American market or Europe, and it's awesome, And again, I think of that Game of Thrones one. Like, I kid you not, the amount of stuff that they heaped on us. Like, I had like I said, literally, I think each person that bought it through me walked away like it was comical. They had to like a 6-foot stack. It felt like it of these, because the boxes were kind of thick, of kits, and it was like $300 or $280, like a stupidly cheap amount for the, like, they got armies of stuff, and it was very successful Kickstarter for them. So I can only imagine that, like, they went from like, this is easy mode to this is probably no longer a viable business in like very short span. And I don't really know if it was just like, obviously just the, this is probably what happens when you like rely on that mode. I don't really know if there's a way to go around it. As we know from our tariff talks and whatever, and even today, like, there is no model manufacturing in the US really. There's a little bit in Europe, like discounting the UK and all that. So, there's nowhere else to go. And hoping that maybe the Asian market picks up the slack. I don't know. Like, that's obviously an emerging market. Like, Games Workshop's trying to break in there more and so forth. But that takes time and to set up and make it work. So this turned into a bit of a long one, but it is a fascinating topic to me. I'm kind of curious, like, just thinking out loud, is this kind of the end of this? I'm not saying Kickstarters are done, toast forever, but I think the board game ones will manage. I think there's like some very creative people that invent a new gizmo, gadget, thing, tool, solution to a problem that might be able to make it in the US or somewhere locally, but on the model making front, it is just like untenable. Anyway, so what do you think? What do you think of that rant? You can read the article, you can Google some more, get some ideas, post about it. Are you someone who is like always buying into tons of these miniature board game or RPG Kickstarters? Are you one of those people that's just going to be like, I'm going to pause, I'm going to wait a while, I'm not going to buy in because I haven't gotten my last two, or I'm waiting? Yeah, so let us know. Like, subscribe, check out the Patreon. If you're so inclined, you can throw us a few bucks, helps us out. Maybe get my graphics better again, help the special effects budget, whatever you name it. We appreciate you guys so much, and we'll see you next week, hopefully with both of us again, and hopefully we'll get some juicy news or scandals to talk about, and I'll try and think of some more kooky skits and things like that. Anyway, thanks so much. Take care. Bye.